The heavy silk curtains of the forbidden city concealed secrets so dark that even the palace walls seemed to whisper warnings to those who dared approach. As midnight struck across the imperial quarters, the sound of bare feet crawling across. Cold marble floors echoed through corridors where no one was permitted to breathe too loudly. Tonight, like countless nights before, a woman wrapped only in a thin blanket made her way toward the dragon bed, knowing that what awaited her behind those golden doors was not romance, but a ritual so dehumanizing that survival itself became an act of courage. This is the untold story of what really transpired during imperial visits in the Emperor's bedroom, where power, control, and human dignity collided in ways that would shock even the most hardened observers of history. Welcome to the brutal reality behind the glamorous facade of ancient Chinese imperial life. The Emperor's bedroom wasn't just a private chamber. It was the epicenter of a complex system designed to control every aspect of human intimacy and reproduction. Within the palace walls, when the Son of Heaven selected a concubine's name from the ornate wooden tags presented to him each evening, he wasn't simply choosing a companion for the night. He was setting in motion a carefully orchestrated ritual that would strip away every shred of dignity from the chosen woman, while reinforcing the absolute power he wielded over thousands of lives. The selected concubine's ordeal began the moment her name was announced. Palace eunuchs would arrive at her quarters with clinical efficiency, informing her that she had been chosen for an imperial visit. What followed was a preparation process that treated her more like cargo being readied for shipment than a human being preparing for intimacy. First came the mandatory purification bath, using expensive perfumes and oils imported from distant lands. But this luxury came with a price that extended far beyond mere cost. If you're fascinated by these shocking historical revelations that expose the dark truth behind ancient imperial glamour, make sure to subscribe to our channel and activate notifications so you never miss these untold stories that history books prefer to keep buried. After bathing, the concubine faced the first of many humiliations designed to establish her complete powerlessness. She was forbidden from dressing herself in any clothing whatsoever. No silk robes, no undergarments, no jewelry of any kind could accompany her to the imperial bedchamber. This wasn't merely about preventing potential weapons from entering the Emperor's presence. It was a calculated psychological assault intended to reduce her to nothing more than flesh and bone, awaiting imperial pleasure. Every hairpin, every ornament, every personal possession that might provide comfort or confidence was stripped away, leaving her utterly vulnerable and dependent on the Emperor's mercy. The journey to the Emperor's bedroom represented perhaps the most degrading aspect of this entire ritual. The naked concubine would be wrapped completely in a plain blanket, transforming her into an anonymous bundle that eunuchs could carry through the palace corridors like a piece of valuable furniture being delivered to its destination. She had no right to walk on her own feet, no permission to maintain even the basic dignity of locomotion. Instead, she remained motionless and silent as stone-faced servants transported her through hallways filled with shadows and whispered conversations about her fate. Upon arrival at the imperial bedchamber, the concubine encountered an environment designed to reinforce her absolute submission to imperial authority. The room itself was a masterpiece of intimidation, filled with symbols of power and decorated with artwork depicting the emperor's divine right to rule over all aspects of life and death within his domain. But the most psychologically damaging element wasn't the opulent decorations or priceless artifacts. It was the presence of 12 eunuchs stationed just outside the bedroom door, armed with timepieces and ready to regulate even the most intimate human moments according to strict imperial schedules. These eunuchs weren't merely guards protecting the emperor's safety. They were active participants in a system that transformed private intimacy into public performance, where every sound, every movement, and every expression was subject to scrutiny and potential punishment. The concubine understood that these men were listening to everything, timing everything, and ready to intervene if she violated any of the countless unspoken rules governing imperial encounters. The emperor's bed itself became a stage where human dignity went to die. The concubine couldn't simply approach it like a normal person entering an intimate situation. Instead, she had to crawl from the foot of the bed to where the emperor waited, demonstrating her complete acknowledgement that she existed solely for his pleasure and convenience. This crawling ritual wasn't just symbolic, it was a physical manifestation of the power dynamic that governed every aspect of their interaction. Throughout the entire encounter, the concubine remained trapped in a prison of silence. She was absolutely forbidden from making any sound that might be interpreted as pleasure, pain, discomfort, or even normal breathing. Any vocal expression could be deemed disrespectful to imperial dignity and result in immediate punishment or permanent banishment from the emperor's favor. She had to endure whatever transpired while maintaining the emotionless composure of a statue, suppressing every natural human response to preserve her chance of survival within the palace hierarchy. The timing of these encounters was regulated with military precision. The eunuchs outside maintained careful schedules, calling out warnings when the allotted time approached its end. If the emperor didn't respond to their initial announcements, they would increase the volume and urgency of their calls until they received acknowledgement. Even the most intimate moments between human beings were subject to bureaucratic time management, treating love and desire like administrative tasks to be completed efficiently and moved past without delay. But the most horrifying revelations about the emperor's bedroom concerned what happened immediately after intimate encounters concluded. This was when the true brutality of the system revealed itself through a question that would haunt concubines for the rest of their lives. The head eunuch would formally ask the emperor whether the imperial seed should be preserved or expelled from the concubine's body. This wasn't a medical consultation. It was a moment when human reproduction became subject to imperial decree, where the possibility of creating new life depended entirely on the emperor's momentary whim or political calculation. If the emperor decided the seed should not be kept, what followed was a procedure that combined medical practice with systematic abuse. The concubine would be forced to remain in the bedroom, while eunuchs performed what they called cleansing rituals designed to prevent any possibility of conception. These procedures involved pressing specific acupressure points on the woman's lower abdomen and performing vigorous massages intended to expel all traces of imperial semen from her body. The clinical nature of these procedures provided perfect cover for eunuchs who chose to exploit their power over vulnerable women. Many deliberately prolonged the process, using their medical authority to touch inappropriately, extract sexual favors, or demand bribes in exchange for gentler treatment. The concubines had no recourse against such abuse because complaining about a eunuch's behavior could result in permanent exclusion from future imperial visits, effectively ending any hope of advancement within the palace hierarchy. Hit that like button if these shocking historical truths are opening your eyes to realities that popular culture never dares to reveal. And share this video with anyone who thinks they understand ancient Chinese imperial life. The psychological impact of these bedroom rituals extended far beyond the physical experiences themselves. Concubines lived in constant fear of making mistakes that could trigger violent punishment or social destruction. The emperor's bedroom became a minefield of potential violations, where breathing too loudly, moving incorrectly, or showing any sign of genuine emotion could be interpreted as disrespect worthy of severe consequences. Women developed elaborate mental strategies for surviving these encounters while preserving whatever remained of their sanity and self-worth. Some learned to dissociate mentally, treating their bodies like vessels that belonged to the emperor while protecting their inner selves from complete annihilation. Others became skilled actresses, performing whatever role they believed would please imperial tastes, while hiding their true thoughts and feelings behind carefully constructed facades. The emperor's bedroom also served as the setting for desperate gambles that could either elevate a concubine to unprecedented heights or destroy her completely. Pregnancy represented the only realistic path to genuine power within the palace system, but achieving it required surviving not just the physical encounters, but also the complex political maneuvering that surrounded imperial reproduction. Concubines who successfully conceived legitimate heirs could transform from powerless servants into influential political players overnight. But those who became pregnant without permission faced execution for unauthorized reproduction. The bedroom's influence extended throughout the entire palace structure, creating ripple effects that shaped relationships between concubines, eunuchs, and imperial officials.